Good morning, everyone. I'm Leanne Beckwith, Swiftland's Continuing Education Coordinator, and I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar, Getting to Know Google Products, Services, and Tools, Part 1. And today's presenter, Dr. Stephanie Rollins. Dr. Rollins is a research and writing specialist at the Air University Press at Maxwell Air Force Base. She is also an adjunct professor for the University of Alabama and teaches digital reference, collection development, and organization of information, among other courses. Dr. Rollins serves on both regional and state library committees and has 23 years of experience in academic and special libraries. She holds a BA in English from Auburn University, a master's degree in library service, and a doctorate in public administration, both from the University of Alabama. Please help me welcome Dr. Rollins and enjoy her webinar.
Good morning. Thank you, Leanne. I'm so excited today to talk to you a little bit more about getting to know Google products. To be honest, when I first started looking at Google products, I was a little bit skeptical about what was possible with these products, but they are pretty amazing and powerful. And everything that Google has kind of on a personal level is free. I guess where they make their money is kind of when they start doing their enterprise things for business. But I was so impressed, I kind of changed my opinion about the products and I've gotten to know how to use them and I want to share that with you today. I want to share kind of how you can get started right away with some of these products. It's not going to be super intensive and advanced. It's going to be more on a beginner level. But I want to explain to you about what some of the products are, how to get into them, how to get started. They're super powerful, like I said, because you can share all the products intermingle. And also, hold on just a second. Can can you guys hear me? Looks like some people can't hear me. Okay. Um, okay. Sorry about that to interrupt my stream of thought there, but I just want to make sure you guys could hear me. Technology is fun, isn't it? But the great thing about these Google services and products is they are free and they work seamlessly together. You can share your files with people and work on them at the same time, any of their files. So it's a fantastic service, and I think it really levels the playing field for people who can't afford things like Office 365 or can't afford to buy that Microsoft suite. And I think it's a fantastic way to have collaboration among people. So I think it's a fantastic tool for librarians to know about, to share with people, who don't have maybe don't even have a computer. Maybe all they have is a phone. All of these products you can use on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on the web. So today I'm going to focus on kind of the web interface of things. They do work pretty much the same on your mobile, just a few different little clicks and things like that. But once you learn how to use it, it's very easy to use. So let's get started. So what are we going to look at today? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the products, services, and tools, of course. And then we're going to look at how do you get access? Um, how do you get access to these tools if you've never used Google or Google Scholar before? Also, sorry about that. We're going to look at some specific products. Google Drive, we're going to look at Google Docs, Slides, Sheets, and then one of the things that you is also integrated into a lot of the Google products is something called Google Keep. And then I'm going to talk to you about some ways that you can get additional training. And also anything that I show you today, if you would like to have an hour just on that, I would be more than happy to show you how to do that. Like I said, today we're just going to get into them to show you how to use them. I am going to be sharing my screen. So if you have a little bit of a delay, just bear with me. I've got two monitors up so I can see the delay. So I will try to speak so that the internet catches up with us. But just, hold on to that and it will catch up. I didn't want to do 50 million slides for you. I wanted to show you how you could actually use it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I don't know if you guys knew, but Google actually has over about 200 at one time over 250 products. Now some of them we probably wouldn't use, like at least for me, I don't know how to code. I wish I did, but there's a lot of coding things and products that we may not use. But there's several things that you can use to work smarter, especially some of the ones I'm going to show you today. And they're just, like I said, it's fantastic. It's free. And I actually, after using Office 365 at work, I actually prefer the Google products, and I'm going to start using them more. One of the best things, and I'll show you a little bit about Google Drive, is you can back up your entire computer. So we'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I just wanted to show you that there is definitely more to Google products and services than we're even aware of. This is a website here. This person lists a lot of the Google tools. He gives you a complete list. So I'm going to share that with you really quickly. So give me just a second, and I'm going to share my screen. We'll see how the sharing is doing. Like I said, a tiny bit of a delay. So like I said, this person, and again, some of the Google products have gone away, but you can see, and I'm going to cover more of these products in the next session of Google products. So stick around for next, I think it's Leanne will tell you when that is. But you can see there's just a plethora, so many different things that you can do with Google. So fantastic. And this is more, if you go to the Google site, this is way more. It's a little bit slow, but I just clicked on the Google product site. But if you go to the Google products site, they don't even list a majority of these products. You can see they've got a bunch of them. Some of the ones we're going to cover, like they've got things for business. But if you go down to the very bottom of this page, they've got for all, and oh, there it catches up for with us. And it's got a ton of products that you probably, some of them you've heard of, some of you may not have heard of them. And I hadn't heard of a bunch of these. So I think you should take advantage of them, take a look at them. And like I said, we'll do training on them as well. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to stop sharing my screen in just a second here. All right, so the PowerPoint should come back up for us. Were you guys aware there were so many Google products? Did you guess about that? You can type in the chat box at any time if you'd like. So just very quickly, did how many of you have a Google account? Just let me know that in the chat box too, because to get these products, you do have to sign up for a Google account. That's just part of the deal. So I want to talk to you about how do you get into these products when you have a Google account or you don't have a Google account. So I'm going to kind of fly through this really quickly. So if you don't have a Google account, anywhere on any Google screen, you can click on sign in, and it's going to take you to a way that you can create an account. So this is just walking you through creating an account. You can pick your name, email, pick a password, um, and then it's going to ask you to enter your birthday and different things like that, but you don't necessarily have to. But one of the things I do want you to do is agree to their privacy and terms. And I would suggest that you read this just because once you sign up with Google, they have access to all your information. So that could be a concern for you. You click on I agree. And then the way you can, if you do have an account, which looks like most of you guys do, and oh, Jewel, me too. I have multiple, which is fantastic if you want to back up multiple computers, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So when you do have an account, all you have to do is click on sign in from any Google screen, and then you can also, just enter your login and password. And then the way you can tell that you're logged in is usually you have a little avatar or you have a little letter up here. I'm just going to point to that for you. Just a second. And then also, one of the quickest ways that you can get to a bunch of the apps is if you click on this little box here that has kind of like a little grid, that's going to let you into most of the products. And it's going to be dependent on some of the things that you've accessed. Like, for instance, I have my business because the library is under there, but you may not have my business. But you'll see Drive, Search, YouTube, Maps. Some of the other ones that appear under my account are, books, Translate, Shopping, Classroom. So it's kind of standardized. But if you wanted to look at even more products from Google, all you have to do is click on even more products from Google, and it'll take you to that screen I showed you earlier about, basically some of the products that Google has. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. because I want to make sure we have about maybe 5 to 10 minutes on each product, and we have five. So I want to try to just get you familiar with the product, show you how easy it is to use it. So the first one is Google Drive. Very simply, if you've ever looked at a hard drive, if you've ever looked at the cloud for Dropbox, OneDrive, basically Google Drive is a place where you can store your files. If you want to use the personal, you'll see that it says here it's kind of small, but you get 15 gigabytes for free. And when I looked at it, I actually the other day backed up my entire computer, and I still had room for the rest of my stuff that I'm going to continue to add. And if you have multiple accounts, like Jewel does, and like I do, each account has 15 megabytes. I'm sorry, 15 gigabytes of space. So you don't ever need to pay for something like Dropbox or even pay Google, because if you just set up another email, you have 15 gigs of space. Okay. So that's a little bit about Google Drive. And like I said, if you did need more space, for instance, if you wanted to get it for your business, they do have a platform for that, $8 a month per user for 25 gigabytes. Like I said, I don't know that it's something that you need. They also have, if you run out of 15 gigabytes, which I'm getting close on my one account that you'll see, you can upgrade. They've got tons of different options, up to, I think, like something crazy like 30 terabytes. So, and you can pay for that, but you don't really have to. And that's the point of what I'm showing you today, that all this stuff is free. So let me show you kind of what Google Drive looks like and a few of the features there. So I'm going to share my screen again. Give me just a second. And like I said, one of the easiest ways to get to everything is to click on the Google Apps here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Drive. And again, everything I'm going to show you, you can share your files with people. You can work on them at the same time. So this is logged in as me. One of the first things you'll see is you've got some quick access files. So these are ones that I opened recently. Hopefully you can see that. Let me clear this black box down here. Oh, okay, Catherine, you have a subscription for $10 a month. Um, Great, fantastic. And it's very cheap even if you do decide to pay for it. But like I said, that's a tip I can give you. If you have separate accounts, you can definitely do that. And and Google will let you set up multiple email accounts. I think I have 5 or 6, probably 2 of which I actually use. So one of the things I wanted to show you is you'll see that mine looks kind of a little messy, but I just wanted to show you, kind of what a real account looks like. I'm also going to switch to my other account so you can see what one that's kind of empty looks like. Um, Sorry about that. So you can kind of see what's there. You do have some different view options, because if you're like me, I kind of like more of a detailed view. But if you like more of a visual view, this has got kind of like little icons of your different files. So if you don't like that view and you want to get more of like a file structure view, up here on the top, oops, let's see, sorry about that. Up here on the top, you'll see that there's a little, okay, sorry about that. I Give me just a second. My screen froze for a second there. Sorry about that. Okay, so up at the top, if you want to do more of a file structure view, a list view, all you have to do is click here, and you'll see I've still got access to the things I just worked on, but now I've got more of a file structure view. And like I said, it's pretty messy, but it's great because I'm going to show you a couple of things we can do to make it a little bit better. When you first log in, I'm going to switch to my Library Nerd account. You'll see that there's basically, when you log in, um, all you're going to see is this file here, and it's just going to tell you a little bit about getting started, but not very much at all. So if you start, know that it's going to be empty, and that's okay. Don't panic, but it will be empty. So I'm going to switch back to my account, and this is also where you can add other accounts. And so you can kind of switch between them for all of your drives, for your files, all that, which is fantastic. So again, if you wanted more space, you could do that. So another thing up here on the top is if you wanted to add a new file, all you have to do is click on the plus sign. This is where you can upload files from your computer. You can create a new Google Doc, which is like a Word doc. Google Sheets, when you see Google Sheets, just think of Excel. And Google Slides is more like PowerPoint. If you click on more, you'll see there's a bunch of more Google products that you can get to and more apps. So that's what's under new. My Drive is everything that I have stored on my drive. You'll also see that there's a link here to computers. And when we went to the Library Nerd account, they do have actually, Shirley, they do have compatibility with Microsoft, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. I've actually taken a PowerPoint and saved it as a slides, and there was only one tiny thing that was different. So you can save it as you can have PowerPoint on here, you can have Word, you can have all that. You can open it in PowerPoint or Word, or you can open it in the Google products. It's completely compatible, which is amazing. And the thing about if you do decide to open it as a doc or as a Google Doc or as a Google slide, that does not count against your space. Anything that's a Google file is free space. So the only thing that's going to take up space is going to be like your PDFs, your Word docs, all that. And once you open something as a Word doc or a slide, um, it will save it on your computer automatically. You never have to save anything. And if you open something that's a Word doc as a Google Doc, and you can decide which one you want to save. So that's fantastic. So what you'll see here on my screen is it says computers, and you wouldn't see that on my Library Nerd one because I have not synced my computers yet. And if we have time, I'll come back and show you how to get your stuff that's off your computer. But this is what's currently on my laptop right now. So anywhere I am in the world, I can log into my Google and I have complete access to everything on my computer. Just like Dropbox or I'm trying to think what the other one is. Drawing a blank right now. Maybe you guys know. But everything that's on my computer is pretty much on here. So all my documents, all my files are on here, which is fantastic. And the thing is, it's synced to my computer. So when I make changes to any of these files, it automatically updates no matter where I am. So think about that in terms of, people that don't have a flash drive or people that don't have a computer. This can be their, kind of cloud computer. There's a file here that says shared with me. So these are files that other people shared with me. So if you're looking for something like that, it's going to be under this. So these are things that people have shared with me over time. Recent, again, like I said, are things that I've actually worked on recently. You can actually star things. It's pretty much like a file manager. So if you right click on stuff, you can get your options here. You can preview it. You can open it with Adobe Acrobat or Google Docs or Lumen, which is kind of like Adobe equivalent for free. Or I can open it in my original, I can open it as a Word document, which is kind of cool if you want to go back to Word and edit your PDF. So those are some of the options. You can also share it with people. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. You can get a shareable link, which I could take and paste. Madeline says, "Are you starting a doc in Word or in Google?" You can do either. So you can start a document in Word and save it to your Google Drive, and then you could change it to a Google Doc. You could open it as a Google Doc, or you could completely keep it as Word, and you can edit it in Word on your computer. So whatever whatever works for you, it's interchangeable. So you can get a shareable link. So these are things you can add it to My Drive if it's something that somebody shared with you. You can star it. So if there are things that you're working on that you want to, have starred, you'll see it made a little star there. And then over here on the left, you'll see there's a starred file catching up. You can remove from starred. You can rename things. You can view details. This is kind of just like properties on, when you look at something on your computer in Windows. You can manage versions. You can make a copy. And then you can also download anything that's on your drive. You may have started it and created it on your drive. And I'll talk, Gene, what a shareable link is. Absolutely. It's fantastic if you're trying to collaborate. And again, you can download things that you only worked on in Google Drive to your actual computer. Okay. So if we look at this file here, this is a paper that I'm working on for work. If I wanted to share this with somebody, I have a couple of options. I can get a shareable link, and when I click on that, and this works in any of the products, let me turn on link sharing first of all. And you can see that it's given me a link and it says anyone with the link can view. If I go down here and click on sharing settings, I'm going to have some more options. It is compatible with Apple as well. Yes, Angela. Because maybe I want somebody to be able to edit this, right? That's kind of the part of collaborating, right? So if you click on sharing settings right here, it's going to take me to anybody with the link can view. I can copy this link and put it in the chat box, and I'm going to do that. But if you look down here, you can, I'm sorry, if you look right here, it says can view. You have some options here. Let it catch up. You can say anyone with the link can edit, and you want to be careful about that, right? Because if anybody gets the link, they can edit it, they can delete it, just that one file. They can comment on it, which you may want to do, which is just as good sometimes, or they can just view it. You can also, so this link, I'm gonna copy the link. I'm gonna put it in the chat box. And anybody that, if you guys click on that, you would be able to get into this file right now and look at it. It's not very exciting, but you could. You can view it. You can't do anything to it, but you could look at it. Now, if you have just specific people you want to share it with, that's fantastic too. All you do is click on the little drop down where the edit, like kind of the little pencil is. You type in the person's name. So if I type in, let me try Luli. How about Luli? If I try Luli, and this is also linked to your contacts in your Google. Others can be limited to just commenting on sharing your files, absolutely. And like I said, that's a setting here. Whether you send the link, they can comment, or if you just want specific people, they can comment. So that's an option that you have. So, and you can send a note because sometimes, it's kind of interesting about, well, what is this? Who sent me this? So you may want to send a note. Yes, Jean, once you're in Google, you can sync it with your computer. Um, uh, that I would have to check on, Jean, and get back to you because my computer is not restricted, but I do understand we would have to check on that. So let me check on that. But as far as I know, most computers you can sync, and I'm going to walk you through that in just a second. Okay, so if I send this to Luli, she's going to, and also down here at the bottom, it gives you some more explanation on what this means. There's also, when we get into Google Docs, kind of like the Word doc program, there's also a way that you can have a suggestion mode, which is kind of like track changes. But if you say edit, it's completely open for people to edit. So you want to look at your options before you share it, definitely. Okay, so I'm going to click this to Luli. She's going to be like, what in the world is this file? Did you guys try and click on the link? Were you able to get to the file? One other thing, if you look at, so it says this recipient doesn't have a Google account, and that's okay. You have options. You can say send an invitation, and they have 14 days to comment on this document, and it goes away. Or you can say, hey, I don't care about that. I just want anybody to get in. So I just leave it on send the link. But again, you want to be careful about what you're sending out to people. And then you'll notice once we sent that, you'll see it's shared because I have the little people here. That's pretty cool. You can tell that it's been shared. Not a real exciting file. This is a paper I'm working on for work. But the other thing too is Even if you don't have the supporting software, you can still open files and look at them. This is kind of called their lightbox mode. So I'm going to click and show you that you can actually get into this file even if you didn't have Adobe Reader on your computer. Let me double click on this. And you'll see I've got the option to open it with Adobe because I have that on my computer. But if I didn't, I could open it in Google Docs. I could open it in their kind of answer to that. I can also, there's some other options over here. I can download it, same as, different things that you would normally do on your computer. Now to get back to Drive, I'm just going to click on this arrow here to get back, and we're back in our Drive. A couple other things I can show you. If you're ever down in something, you're like, oh, I just want to get back to my main page. All you have to do is go up here at the top, click on Drive, and it'll take you all the way back out. Okay, so those are some of the options here on this side. And you can see we just opened this file, so it's going to be in my quick access. Let's see what else I can show you. So you'll see that I've got a couple of folders here. You can make folders just by clicking on the plus sign. Like I said, this is a little bit disorganized, right? Because I just have put stuff here, but I haven't really played around with organizing it. So if you click on the plus sign, you can say, hey, I would like a new folder. Click on that. So it's just like working in Windows or your Mac. You're just creating a new folder. So I'm going to type running, and I'm going to click on create. And you don't see the folder, right? You see it here on my list, but you don't see it over here on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my drive. You'll see the little triangle. And when I do, you can see all my folders here. They'll also appear if you change to the grid view. So they're still here. Either way, you can get to your folders. The other thing that's really cool is it's just like any other interface. So yes, the documents that I'm working on, Shirley, because I synced my computer, will automatically save to my Google Drive. Yes, if you open up something in Google Drive, it's going to stay there. You never have to actually save it. It automatically saves for you. If I had something on my computer that was not in, say, my documents, I put it someplace strange. Yes, you can unshare. Absolutely, you can turn that off. You can definitely turn that off. But yes, since my computer is synced, it will share all my files to the Google Drive. Um, so that's kind of cool. So just to show you, you can also change the colors of your folders. So if that's an organization system that helps you, like red means this is something you're working on right now. Um, that's something that's great. So I made a running folder, and what's cool is you also have there's nothing here because we just made that folder. But the cool thing is you can actually drag it and make it a subfolder. So you'll see now running is a subfolder under personal, right? I want to move some files to this. So I'm going to go back to Drive so I can get my main screen here. And if I scroll down, I've got kind of some PDFs on a race guide. So I can take this, go back to my Drive, expand it, click on Personal, expand Personal, click on Running. Oh, sorry. You know what? I did that wrong. So what I can do is, probably the easiest thing is to right click on it, and I can say move to, and it's going to say, well, where do you want to move it? Sorry, just a second. Move to, okay. Well, for some reason that's not working for me this second, but I can click on personal, go back. The easiest thing I've found is you take the file and you just drag it to where you want it. So if I do, so if we look under my drive right now and we go to personal, you'll see the running is there. And then I can move it under running. So very easy to drag and drop. And okay, Angela, I'm going to show you how to sync your computer. So give me just a second on that. Let me kind of finish up with this. The other fantastic thing about Google Drive is that you can actually search your drive and it will search like an advanced Google search. You can search by types of files. You can search by words. If you want to, for instance, if I want to find out stuff I've done for Swiftland, I can just type in Swiftland, and everything that I've ever done that has the word Swiftland in it is, so I've got a Swiftland folder here. You can see all the stuff that I did for Swiftland, which is quite a bit over time. And all this stuff is on my computer. And so when I synced my computer, it actually put everything on my Google Drive. Okay, so one other thing, I think that's about it with Google Drive. So think about it as a big file explorer. You can put all your files there. You've got 15 gigabytes of space. If you want to see, I've got 10.5 down here at the bottom. If I want to see what's taking up the most space and possibly convert it to a Google Doc or a Google Sheet or a slides or whatever, I can look and see what's taking up the most space on my drive. So you can see, okay, well, maybe this zip file I've already zipped and I can delete it. So I just want to show you really quickly how you can delete things and how you can restore them. So this AU3 zip, I don't need this. So I'm going to right click on it and I am going to remove it. And then you're like, oh no, I didn't mean to remove that file. Not a problem. Don't panic. If you go to trash, just like if you have email, okay, give me just a second, G. I'll explain. So if I go to trash, you can see that AU3 zip is there. And if I right click, I can restore it and it will put it back completely to the place that it was before. I don't have to move it back. It's going to move it back just to where it was before. Yeah, you can, the extra files aren't deleted automatically, Rosa. You would have to go in and manually do that. Google products, exactly, Angela. If you have a Google Doc, if you have Google Slides, if you have Google Drawing, they don't count against the storage space. That's free. So if I restore this, this is going to put it back on my computer. There is a way to delete it permanently, and it will ask you like 2 times if you're sure you want to do that. So that's kind of a check for you too. So all is not lost if you accidentally delete something. And just like if you do your email, you can empty your trash all at once too if you would like to. So the system, okay, so basically, yes, you could use Google Drive. I mean, you'd still have to have a way to get on the computer. So you would still have to have Windows, or you would still have to have, Mac operating system. But once you do, you wouldn't have to have, Word or PowerPoint or any of those products. You could totally use Google Drive for all of your software needs, is what I'm saying. But you would still have to have a way to get on the computer. Does that make sense? Okay, so I want to show you very quickly because we're getting about halfway through and we still have several products to go. That's a lot of the functions that will work in any product, okay? So if we want to see what it would look like to sync your computer, so I'm going to switch to my Library Nerd account right here, and you'll see over here on the left-hand side that I don't have a computer. I have Google Drive. This is what's in the cloud right now. But if I want to sync my says nope, no folders and trash here. Um, but if I wanted to get my computer that I have right now synced, so I have all those files on my Google Drive, all I have to do is go up here to Settings, and you'll see it says Get Backup and Sync for Windows. Now, if you click on this and you have a Mac, it automatically knows that it's a Mac and it will walk you through the process. So when I click on that, it's going to ask me a couple of different questions. Of course, I don't want to pay. I don't want to do the business. I want to do the personal. So I'm going to click on Download. It asks you to agree to the terms. So you click on Agree and Download. And it's going to say, here's the file to run. And again, I can't remember who it was, but if you're blocked from running software on your computer without administrator approval, then you won't be able to do this at all. And like I have a military computer, I can't even get to Google Drive. It's completely blocked. So I can only do this on my work laptop that's kind of unrestricted, if that makes sense. So you may not ever get this far. So you just click on it, you click on Save, Very simple. If I'm in Google Chrome, it's down here and I can actually run it. If you're using your computer, you may want to look to your downloads folder. But to me, doing this process for you guys, showing you this is very important because, like I said, you could completely back up your computer. Um, so apparently it's okay. I'm going to run it anyways. Give me a warning message. We're living dangerously. So it says, thanks for downloading it. If you look over here, it's asking me to say as an administrator that I want to run this. So I'm going to click on yes. Should catch up in just a second on your screen. This is all the stuff you would do if you're just installing software, so you're not really missing anything. It says waiting to downloading, installing. So hopefully you can see that. It's really easy. And then you just wait for your files to update. Fantastic. So hopefully this won't take too long. We may come back to that because I do want to show you the other products and how easy it is to get started using them and how you can, when you're in a file, how you can be in a file at the same time and you can see people's suggestions and different things like that. So we may walk away from this, but it's super easy. I mean, you saw how easy it was to install the software. And then it's going to offer you a choice about which folders you want to install. Okay, well, let's see. We have a second. Let's see what happens now. So we'll just wait a second because I do want you to see what it looks like. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going, and as it comes back, I'll show it to you. Um, but what it does is it comes up with another screen, and it's got a box that has 3 folders, and you can choose which folders you want to sync. Um, I just synced everything. I would recommend maybe going through your folders and files and see really what you want to keep. That would be advisable. So you don't have duplicates, right? So you don't have junk that you downloaded for one time to use for work and you never used it again, that kind of thing. I just backed up everything because that's what I had to do. Okay, so let me go back because I want to show you some of the other things that we can do. From my drive, like I said, you can click on New, and you can start any of these files from here. But what I want to do is kind of go back to my PowerPoint real quickly and show you a little bit more about some of the other products. So we're going to do that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Give me just a second. Does that give you a good familiarization with Google Drive? Did you realize all that was possible? Again, it's just not a deep dive. It's just real quick. Like I said, we could spend almost an hour or hour and a half on Google Drive and not do anything else. Okay, it's very powerful, and I love that it levels the playing field for people who don't have access, and even people that do. That software is so expensive, and it's powerful. Office. I'm not trying to to say that it's awful or anything, but I'm just really excited, I guess, about the possibilities for people who don't have or can't afford these things. So the next thing we're going to look at is Docs. So Google Docs is similar to Word. You can do everything that you can do in Word, you can do in Google Docs. So I was really excited to see how powerful it is. Um, so uh, we're going to go and look at that, um, and I can show you kind of what it looks like, and then a couple of things you can do to collaborate. So if you've ever used I can't remember what it's called on Mac, but if you've ever used Word on your Office or anything like that, it's very simple and very easy to use. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay, so you should have my Google Drive back. And on the PowerPoint, the links I gave you are not to the software itself. You can get there, but what I wanted you to see was if you use the links in my PowerPoint, you're going to see it's going to take you to kind of the About page because I thought maybe you'd like to know a little bit more about what it is. You'll see on this screen right here where it says Tom and somebody's typing. I don't have a way to demonstrate two of us being in the document at the same time, but you can actually see somebody typing. So you can have the document open, you can share it with somebody, and they can both be in it at the same time. And you can also chat at the same time. So you can, totally collaborate. It's a total collaborative environment for any of the files in that Google has. Okay, so you can go to Google Docs from here. Like I said, I think where they make their money is with this kind of business software. So they're able to give us so much for free. But it's very easy. You can do pictures, you can do charts, you can do graphs. You can also use templates. So they have a ton of templates, just like Word does. You can again get your Word doc anywhere, anytime. You can download the app. Again, you can share it with people, like I showed you in Google Drive. That works for Google Docs. So if you share it with anybody, like I showed you that little share, you can edit in real time. And this is the best I can do at showing you kind of what it looks like without having a friend come in with me. Exactly, perfect for group projects. Even if somebody's not at your library, somebody's at a sister library somewhere way across town, you guys can work on it at the same time. And then, like I said, you can also chat and comment. So if you're thinking about Word doc and kind of like track changes, you can totally do this. All right, so let's go look at it. I'm going to go back up to the top because it's a really fast way to get there. So I'm going to click on Google Docs. And you're going to notice that the interface looks a little bit different. Instead of having our Drive, it's going to go straight into Docs. Now, again, you can get back to Drive from just about anywhere that you're on a Google screen. So these are some of the documents that I have in here. I'm going to open a blank. Actually, I'm going to open one that's already done, and then I'll open a blank one real quick just to kind of show you how easy it is to create something. But I have a recent document because I do want to show you. This is my event template for next time. So if you're interested in coming next time to learn a few more Google products, that would be fantastic. So what we have here, you'll see over on the right-hand side. Let me get rid of this box so you can see it. You'll see this is kind of like track changes. So when I shared this with Library Nerd, I said, please turn on suggest changes. And the way you do that, if you get a file, because if you've given somebody edit privileges, you want to make sure, I mean, depending on what you want to do, because if you just give them edit and they edit it, it will show you the changes, but you can't kind of accept or reject them. You can only go back to the last file that was saved, the last edit, which would take out all the changes they suggested. I mean, all the changes they made. So it's up to you. I would say if you send somebody something, say, please turn on suggested changes. And if you do, you'll get things like this where it says Library Nerd said add a period. Library Nerd said replace 50 with 55. And you can accept or reject these changes. The way you get somebody to turn on suggested changes is up here at the top. There's a little pencil. Hopefully it'll catch up with us. So that was me accepting the Library Nerd's change. So if you click on the down arrow, you can say in suggesting. And to me, this is a lot like track changes in Word. The other thing is if you have a Word doc and you open it in Google Docs, it will keep your track changes. If we download this, we can open this in Word and it will have track changes. So it's very interchangeable. Everybody okay? Can you hear me? Sounds like somebody's audio is going in and out. I just had a ringing in my ears. So hopefully everybody's okay. Okay, fantastic. So I would say if you send somebody with edit privileges, tell them please turn on suggesting. And then that way it will look just like this and you can see. Or the other thing is you'll see here I have comments. Remember how we shared it so that you could only do comments? You could just do comments. And then that way you wouldn't, somebody couldn't actually edit this document, but they could say, hey, could you change it to part 2 for the number 2? Could you spell out 2? So you could do that. Okay. Everybody can hear me okay now? So it is fantastic. Like I said, you still have the same share functionality up here at the top. the cool thing is it's just like a Word doc where you can put in pictures. So I just want to show you that real quick because I think that's kind of pretty cool. It works just like Word. So if I want to put in a picture, just like in Word, you go up to Insert, Image, and what's really cool is you could get it from your computer, but you can also search the web. You can pull any files that are on your drive. You can go to your Google Photos. If you have a webcam, you can take a picture. So I'm gonna do my Google Drive. Hopefully there's nothing embarrassing here. And I'm gonna look for a picture of myself. So I'm gonna scroll down just a little bit. Hopefully there's one here. Let me do my drive. Mm, okay, I'm gonna get out of that because I don't think it's on my drive. I'm gonna go back to Insert, Image. Let me try Photos. Yeah, this is the one I want. Okay, so if I go to Photos, you'll see lots of pictures of my dogs. That's just how it is. And if I want to, going quickly for one that's like decent and not one of me exercising and crazy, um, get there. Hopefully there's one. Okay, well I'm just going to take a picture of my dog because I don't want to waste time on this. So I'm going to click on it. You click on it, you say Insert. It's super huge, right? So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to make it smaller. Give me just a second. Hopefully this is catching up. This is my dog Bubba. He's a rescue. I can make it as small as I need to. And then one of the neat things you'll see when I click on it, hopefully, I did this earlier. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay, I went too fast. When you click on it, you'll see inline, wrap text, break text. So if I want my text to wrap around this, I can make this really look like I can move the picture. Sorry. Let me do break text. I think that's what I want. Well, I'm not doing too good here today, but when I did it earlier, let me see inline. There we go. So I can move the picture wherever I want, and the text should, I think wrap text. There we go. Sorry, couldn't remember which one. So I can move the picture wherever I want, and the text, so you can make it really look professional. Put him right in the middle there, as professional as you want. So you can make it totally into a newsletter. And you've got all the access to all those files, on the internet, where you can grab pictures. Again, just beware of whether you have usage rights to them or not, right? The other thing is other things you can do. You can use paint to put in a picture. Um, all the other things like, fonts, you can make bigger. Um, I can make this bold. I can change the color. I can make it huge. So it's got all the functionality of just any kind of Word product. So hopefully you can see how that kind of updated. They also have an undo button, which is very important to me because I don't know what I do, but sometimes I make mistakes. So I like to be able to undo. Now, the other thing, like I was telling you about, so I made a couple changes, right? I put in this picture of Bubba. If I messed up really bad and I just want to go back, there's a way that you can, let me see if I see it up here. Let's see. All changes saved in Drive. This is going to take me to Drive, and this is all the versions. So I'm in Drive now. I was in Docs, and it took me into Drive. Let me go back. I'll show you what I clicked on. Just a second. Right, let me get back into our file. Sorry, it kind of took me all the way out about right there. So if you look, it says last edit was seconds ago. It'll take you to Drive, and you can basically go back to the versions that you messed up on. Okay, so I'm going to move really quickly because I want to get to the last couple things, and we only have about 10 minutes, so I had no idea it would take us this long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Excel really quickly. I'm sorry, this is Sheets. So it's kind of like Microsoft Excel. Let me show that to you. Double click on it. Hopefully it'll open. There we go. So I just kind of made a really quick dummy file, but you can type in the type of rows that you want. You can put in numbers, and just like Excel, you can do all kinds of advanced things. I can insert a chart. So it's going to, I forgot to select my data just a second. I'm going to say no data. Nope, you're right. I didn't select anything. Let me click on delete. But if you click on your information and then you click on insert chart, you can totally do a chart. So just like Excel, so super simple, got all the same functionality where you can share, you can download it, the other thing is you can email it to somebody, email as an attachment, and you can say, if you want it as a PDF, so you don't want people to change it, right? As an Excel, you can type a message, you can send it, you can share it. Again, you can work on it together. Okay, really quickly, the next thing I want to show you, I'm going to go back to my drive. Let's see, back to my drive, is Google Slides. Let me click on that real quick. I literally did these slides in about 2.5 minutes. Again, you can import anything. This is just like PowerPoint. You can share it. Okay, it looks like I signed into my Library Nerd account. Okay, I don't know why it's asking me a survey question. So I can literally insert a new slide. Um, there's templates here. Again, you can click on a slide. You can make a slide an entire background. You can choose an image, again, from the internet, from your files, from another PowerPoint you have. Um, you know, again, very fantastic way to get your images. So I'm going to click on out of that. So that's what I do with this one. It said Google makes me purr. I got this image from the internet. It took me about 3 seconds. Again, you can open a PowerPoint in here and edit it. You can save a PowerPoint that you have as a Google slide, which is fantastic. So it's all interchangeable. And when I saved my Google PowerPoint that you guys see today in slides, it kept every single change, even my transitions. It only missed the last transition at the end. So I thought that was fantastic. I don't have to buy PowerPoint. I can just use Google Slides, and it has all the same functionality. Also, once you log in, you can present it. This is going to go into presentation mode. So it's just like, if you were in your PowerPoint presentation, it does all the same things. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that. Because the last thing I want to spend our last 7 minutes on, and then show you a couple of resources you can get to, is Google Keep. How many of you use Evernote, or you use, what's the other one? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank. Evernote's the one that stands out to me, and I've used it, but I want to show you Google Keep really quickly. Before I do that, this is an example of how you can use Google Keep. This is a collection development librarian, and it's kind of like Pinterest meets to-do list meets note-taking. Very powerful, very fantastic. You can have folders. So this lady here did it for work, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like. It can be visual. You can add pictures. You can take pictures. If you use the app on your phone, you can say, Google, take a note, and it'll take a note for you, which is fantastic. I'm so sorry, Rosa, the audio is cutting in and out. I know that the replay, because you'll may want to get the replay to look at some of this again, will be perfect. It's just what happens when we're live. Sorry about that. So you can kind of see what she did. So I'm going to go to getting to know my Google folder to show you. Again, this is on the slides, but it gives you the link to Google Keep. And it's really fantastic. Again, any of these products, if I make an update in Google Keep on the web, it's going to automatically sync with my phone. If I make a change in a Google Doc on my phone, it's automatically going to sync with the Google Doc that's on my computer and the Google Doc that's on my drive. So everything syncs fantastically. So it's kind of like Pinterest. But and the other thing with this too, it's got that same share functionality. So if you do a to-do list, you can share it with people. So let me kind of show you. I'm going to go to Keep because I want to show you really quickly before we end what my Google Keep looks like. And I'm going to click on the web version. And again, like I said, with a lot of these products, when you first go there, it's going to be completely empty. Okay. So this is a note that I made for Veterans Day for work. Again, you can have different folders, which is fantastic. And again, you can make those by saying, you want different labels, which is kind of like a folder. But you can see, okay, so I shared this with somebody, and you could, so again, if you have tasks at your library, you can share those with people. They can come in, again, same kind of thing. You can share it with them. And what's cool is you can make a to-do list like this. You can just make a note that's a reminder with a picture. You can make just a note with no picture. The other thing is if you get the extension for Chrome, I'll pop that in the chat before we go. But in Chrome, there's an extension that you can use that makes it into a web clipper. So you can clip your websites and put them in here as well, which is fantastic. Um, the other thing that I think is really cool, I'm going to show this to you really quickly, is that you could have a picture and it will actually translate the text that's in the picture. So when you go up here to search and you have pictures and different things, it will search every word of everything that you have in Keep. So let me show you kind of what that looks like real quick. So let me go back. I'm going to click on Keep to get back to my main screen. So this is Everyone is a Genius. I can barely read the font here. It's really small. If you click on the three little dots right here and you say grab image text, did you see how it translated that? So now it's got this quote from Albert Einstein, and up in my search, if I type, judge, it's going to find this to-do note. I don't have a ton in here, so it wouldn't be that hard for it to find it, but you can. So I want to show you real quickly how to add a new note, okay? You can also do reminders, and the reminders will integrate with your Google Calendar if you have one, which is really neat. So let me do a new note. So I'm going to say send group the link to Chrome extension. All right. Now I can add a picture if I want. Again, I can get my pictures from my computer. I'm not going to do that right now, just in terms of time. I can archive it. If you archive it, you can still keep your stuff. So like if you're doing this for work and you're making your to-do list and then it was evaluation time, you could still go back and get that archive. They're not lost forever. You can collaborate with people. So if I wanted to share this with somebody and say, hey, I need you to help me do this list, you can do that. And then I'm just going to click on close and you'll see how fast the link comes up. I can also set a reminder with specific times. The other thing is it's really cool if you have your phone, you can actually have it if you want location services turned on, and that's your own deal right there because people feel one way or the other about that. But if you say, whenever I'm at the grocery store, send me a reminder to pick up milk. So you can really automate it. It's kind of neat. So it's very simple to use. If I want to make if I want to make a checklist, that's right here. And again, you can just make a list. You can decide if you want check boxes or not. You can make the color whatever you want. So it's just kind of fun because if you're a visual person, it's just really easy to see everything. You can, again, it shows you what you've marked off. Again, if you want to archive something because you're done with it, you can do that. Um, so, it's just a very intuitive, simple way to have all your kind of to-dos and your notes. And if you take a picture of something, hey, I want to buy that next time. Um, yeah, Madeline, to find your Google password, if you click on Forgot Password, it usually helps you out with that. It's usually pretty simple. Real quick, I want to go back to, let me grab the link to um, the, the Chrome extension in case you want it. And then I'm going to go back to my slides because I want to share just in our last minute some of the the additional resources we have that are available. So just one second, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Again, Google Keep, please check it out. Again, it's free. It syncs with everything. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna really start using it. I have another to-do list thing that I use, but I just like this so much better, especially a picture of the Virgin Islands, right? Okay, so give me 1 second. Share my screen again. Because I just want to share with you, and you'll get this PowerPoint, but I just want to share with you a couple additional resources that I thought were fantastic. And I'm going to actually go to, so we've gone through all this. I probably should have just stayed in Google, right? So some additional resources. There's not a ton of books out there, and the books that are out there are pretty dated. But here's some that I found. You may want to check them out. They didn't cost a lot, and they're just books on everything that we've covered today. And then there's some tutorials. So Google Suite actually has a ton of tutorials. I'll show that if we have time. But it's got by product. So you can actually go into Keep, you can go into Drive. It's got cheat sheets. It doesn't have videos, but it's got a ton of documentation. And it says it's for Google Suites, which is business, but you don't have to have a Google Suites account. You can just look at all of their help sheets without that. The other one is a subscription service, but some libraries have this. So you can go to LinkedIn Learning and they have courses on every single thing, and I'll show you that in just a second. The other ones are just some Google YouTube videos that I found particularly helpful on each product that we went through today. So Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Keep, so those might be helpful to you, and you'll get a copy of this PowerPoint. So real quick, let me just show you in 2 seconds, I promise, those two things, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so here we are. So let me go really quickly. So this is the Google Suite, which you don't have to, again, don't have to have a Suite account. But if you scroll down, this may not catch up. If you look, you'll see Learn by Product, and you can go directly to each product. So if we go to Drive, it's going to show you some Drive Basics cheat sheets. Um, if you're switching, I usually just go down here and click on Get Started with Drive, and it just kind of walks you through how to do different things here, like how to share, how the things we went over, how you can upload files. Again, you don't have to sync your computer. You can just upload one file at a time if you want to. So it just kind of walks you through some of the things that we didn't go through in a ton of detail. And like I said, the other one is the LinkedIn. If you have access to that, or a Lynda account, again, there's a ton of free stuff in YouTube. But I just did a search in LinkedIn for Google Essentials, and they've got one on just about every product you can think of. So if you have access to that, please take advantage. They're usually an hour, sometimes more if they're more technical like cloud or analytics, but just very easy to use, fantastic training. So I'm going to close with that. I'm just going to go back to my PowerPoint really quickly in case you want to chat with me and send me an email. Just a second. So again, those are some of the resources, and you'll have a copy of the PowerPoint. So you can click on those resources. Not sure why I went back this far, but we're going to keep going. So that's my email. If you have any questions, thank you guys so much. We're right at time. We're actually 3 minutes over. I was worried I wouldn't have enough to tell you guys, but you guys had some fantastic questions. And again, all of these apps work on Apple and Android. So no matter what your platform is, you can get that. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, we're going to go over more Google products next time. And
Okay,
Leanne, I
great.
think
Thank
she's
you
going to
for
pipe in
such
and
an
tell you about.
informative webinar. Attendees, if you enjoyed this webinar, we ask that you join us on Friday, January 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern for part 2 of Getting to Know Google Products, Services, and Tools. As always, we encourage you to keep an eye on the Swiftland CE calendar, Swiftland Facebook page, or your messages from the listserv for more training. Thank you for attending and have a terrific rest of your day.